Shalom, welcome to the talks on the Shama, part 5, dealing with the word elohiy'nu. Before we get on to the name of, or the word elohiy'nu, I'd like to have a look at the name of Father just a little bit more. Father's name is made up of the Yod, the Hey, the Wav and the Hey. Now, in the ancient Hebrew, the pictographic Hebrew, the Yod is a pictograph of a hand and a forearm, and it carries that meaning of hand and anything to do with the functions of the hand, like work, etc, etc, etc. The Hey is a pictograph of a man standing with his arms raised in the air and as if looking at a great sight, and it means to behold, and behold a great sight, that sort of thing. And then the Wav is a pictograph of a tent peg, and it carries a meaning of tent peg as well as nail, something used to secure one object to something else. Now, putting all these letter meanings together, and not forgetting that in Hebrew the nouns and verbs come in a different order to our English language, we actually get the meaning in our English of the letters of Yahuwah's name of behold the hand, behold the nail. Now that is interesting, especially when you look at Exodus 23, which is Shema chapter 23 verses 20 and 21, where it's a prophecy of the coming Messiah, and it says in verse 21, at the end of verse 21, my name, or my character, my name is in him. Now, the Messiah's name is Yahusha. Father's name is in him. Yahu part is the shortened version of Father's name. But if you link in that with behold the hand, behold the nail, to the Messiah, we get an amazing picture. Father is telling us with his name, and way back then, that the Messiah would be lifted up. He would be crucified. He would be killed. He would die for our sakes. Now, and you look at all this and you put all this together, we start to see that the Messiah was lifted up, and it was planned from the very beginning so that we wouldn't be bowed down. He was lifted up and raised up and died and was rose again so that we could stand with our Father in the heavens. And this is an amazing, wonderful picture, all coming from Father's name. But I just thought I'd bring that bit up just for people to look at and think about and to churn over in their own minds. Now, elohiy'nu. Elohiy'nu comes from the word Elohim, which is often translated as God, but is totally misleading, and you miss every understanding and nuance of the Hebrew word elohiy'nu, or Elohim. The new suffix at the end is the plural possessive pronoun. It means our, belonging to us. Now, I want to look at elohiy'nu in its letter form and to get an amplified meaning of what it actually means. It's not just our God or our mighty authority. There's much more richness within this name, or within this word, actually within this title. Now, the root word of Elohim, which is plural of Eloah, is actually El, the Aleph and the Lamed. In the ancient Hebrew, the Aleph is a pictograph of an ox head, and it carries a meaning of strength, power, might, everything that you see about an ox that pulls a plough or pulls a cart taking goods to market. The ox was a livelihood of the agricultural community. So it carries that meaning of power and strength and might. Now the Lamed is a pictograph of a shepherd's crook, and it carries the meaning, the base meaning of authority. But it's not just any authority, it's the authority of the shepherd. Now we mustn't forget that the Messiah is the true shepherd of the flock. We are the flock, he is the shepherd. But the Lamed is the authority of the shepherd, and everything pertaining to what the shepherd uses the crook for. He uses it to ward off predators and protecting the sheep. He uses it to save the sheep, to pull them out of ditches and keep them out of safe places, keep them out of dangerous places. He uses it to guide and lead the sheep. He uses it even to chastise the sheep from time to time. So the crook, the shepherd's crook, or El, actually means mighty authority, or mighty authority of the shepherd, or it can mean, even more amplified, mighty authority, shepherd and protector, chastiser, saviour, guide. So that's the root meaning of El. Elohim is in the plural, so it's got the same meaning, except you've got an added hey there, which we'll look at in a second. Okay, the hey, as we looked at just at the beginning of this, the hey is a pictograph of a man with his arms raised in the air, and it carries the meaning of behold, a wonderful sight. Look at that, behold. Now the yod again is a pictograph of a hand and forearm of a man, and it means hand, forearm, or the work of the hand, and anything related to the functions of the hand. Now, adding to that the suffix nu. Although nu is a shortened form of elohiy'nu, the way this is written, and this is how I'm going to look at this word, just the way it's written in Hebrew, it's just the nu. Now, the nun is a pictograph of a seed, and it means seed. It means to continue, to perpetuate, offspring and heir. Now, the oo, there's oo sound, which is the wav, is again the pictograph of a tent peg, and it carries that meaning of tent peg, nail, hook, to add to secure with, etc. It means it carries all those meanings. So if you look at elohiy'nu within the letter meanings, not forgetting the seed, the nun, and the wav, the secured and fixed to, is added to the al, or the Elohi, we get this meaning. We are the seed, nun, added and secured to wav, the mighty authority who beholds us, hey, us in his hands, yod. I'll read it again. We are the seed, added and secured to the mighty authority who beholds us in his hands. So elohiy'nu doesn't just mean our gods, not in that sense, not in our English way we look at it from an English perspective. No, in the Hebrew it means we are added and secured to our mighty authority who holds us in his hands. And that's exactly what he does. He holds us up, he bears us, he lifts us up in his hands. You know, and it comes back to the Messiah being lifted up, being raised up, and on that fateful Passover day where he gave his life so that we would be raised up with him in life. He gave his life so that we would live. Yes, he was raised again on the Feast of First Fruits. He rose again and was presented before our Father in heaven as the first fruits of the resurrection, as a perfect offering, the perfect sacrifice. And he opened the doorway to our redemption, our salvation, on that Passover sacrifice. He opened it. And, you know, the Passover, he paid the punishment for our sin, which is death. He also fulfilled the consequences of our sin, which is separation from the Father, from the Creator. And that's exactly what happened. You know, when he died on that Passover, he said, my mighty authority, often said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He was separated and cut off for a time. So he died and was cut off from the Creator, which must have been like an eternity. And I couldn't imagine what it would be like. I don't want to find out what it'd be like, quite frankly. But he died and cut off. He paid the penalty and suffered the consequences of our sin. But because he was perfect, But he was that perfect sacrificial lamb that Father himself provided. He was acceptable. No blemish, no mark. He was presented before the Father on first fruits and was found acceptable. And because of that, the doorway was open. And the doorway comes out of Yehuda. The Dalet comes out of Yehuda. And it's a doorway to Yahuwah, the family home. And that is the road we walk. It was because of him, because of his work, that we can walk through the door. And it's because of what he did that we are added and secured to him. Yes, we're not secured to him unless we walk through the doorway and walk his path. It's no good standing before the place where he died and saying, yeah, that's the Messiah, that's the Messiah. It's no good looking at the doorway and never entering. We've got to enter in the doorway that he opened. Before that it was locked shut, but now it was open. And most of Christianity, they look at the doorway, they look at the Messiah, but they refuse to walk through the doorway and onto the narrow path, which is his Torah teachings, his instructions, his guidelines on how to live and walk and be and act with our Creator and with one another in the family home, in the family environment, the family of Yahuwah. And it was because of this that we are secured in him. You know, it's sad that so many people refuse to go through the doorway. It's actually heartbreaking. They accept so many teachings, they accept that the Messiah died for them. They accept that he gave his life freely, without cost. But they refuse to walk in the doorway. And that is heartbreaking because they will just have their souls annihilated at the end of the day. And a lot of nice, decent people will just cease to exist one day because they refuse to avail themselves and walk through the doorway of Passover, avail themselves of unleavened bread and first fruits, and on the path of redemption and salvation, which leads us to Sukkot, which is camping out with the Creator for all eternity. It is extremely sad. But if more people understood the meanings of these words like elohiy'nu, meaning our mighty authority who we are secured to, if they understood Father's name and knew it and learnt to love it and use it in their everyday lives, if they really truly knew the name of the Messiah is not some made up construct of Jesus, but it is a Hebrew name and Father's name is within his name. And where is Father's name in this made up construct of Jesus? Father's name is not there. No, Father's name, Yahuwah, is in the Son's name. Yahushua, Yahuwah's salvation. That is the Son. His name is in the Son. You know, there's no other name under the heavens by which a person can be redeemed and saved. Absolutely. But his name is not a man-made religious construct. It is Yahushua, which is Yahuwah, who came to redeem a people, a family, his sons and daughters, you and I. But we've got to walk through the doorway that Messiah opened, and we've got to become attached and fully secured to our authority, to our mighty authority. And that's exactly what he is to us. He is our authority. He is the Word made flesh, all of the Word made flesh, including all of the Torah made flesh. And he is our authority, hence the whole Torah is our authority. If not, then the Messiah is not ours. If we say the Torah is not for today, then we're saying the Messiah is not for us, he's not our authority, something else is. Religion is, man is, but not the Creator. No. If he is our mighty authority, then we've got to accept all of his authority, not just the bits we like, the bits we pick, the bits we choose. I don't know about you, but I am a seed, added and secured to the mighty authority who beholds me in his hands. Shalom. Shalom.